Anyway, today's gospel reading and Hebrews text and Psalm all remind me of what this shirt says. God's work, our hands. Ways to live in God's kingdom, especially love. Love one another, the Hebrews text begins with. Chapter 13, it begins with, let mutual love continue. Philadelphia is the word. You know that word, Philadelphia. Let that love continue. Lead with love. Try to do everything you have with love. And apparently, whoever is writing that book of Hebrews is looking and seeing that people are really struggling to love one another. That there is divisiveness or division inside that church and inside that community, inside families. And so the challenge is, let it continue. Don't stop loving each other. Try, hold on. Don't let it break. Do what Jesus did. And then secondly, if you love the people in the congregation, secondly, don't forget the stranger. Don't forget to extend hospitality to others. Don't forget the lunch ladies. Don't forget. Thank you, by the way, to all those who went out this past Thursday and served at the soup kitchen. Don't forget, as you're serving at the soup kitchen, those in need. Don't forget the other. And the word in the Greek after Philadelphia is philoxenia, something to that effect. Philoxenia, love, philos, and xenia, not the flower necessarily, but where we get the word xenophobia. Strange or stranger. Don't forget to welcome those who are strange. Gosh, yesterday that household of 19 for lunch, we were a lot of strange folks. And the more I got to talk to people, we were still equally strange, and they thought I was strange. There was a mechanical engineer, there were healthcare professionals, there's a Lutheran pastor, there's a pilot. What do we have in common? We're strange and strangers. But over some food and conversation, we got to know each other. But don't forget, in fact, struggle with trying to reach out and welcome others who aren't like you. That's what Jesus said to that host of the dinner party in today's gospel text. Remember to welcome the stranger. We struggle with that. With immigration issues, with, gosh, do I really want those people in my country, in my house, in my church? So Friday, Carol was celebrating because the police called her to say they had arrested 2 people, among others possibly, who committed a crime, who stole a lot of money from churches by just opening up the mailboxes and taking the checks either going or coming. Stole money from this church, from our preschool, from you all, from Carol herself, from other people. $50,000 or something or more, 40 churches or more involved, plenty of other entities and businesses and personal people. So they have arrested at least 2 of the people, and those 2 are not United States citizens, we've been told. So do we welcome people onto our church property? We weren't welcoming them, they just helped themselves to our mailbox apparently. And now we got a different locking system mailbox. And we go to the post office now as well. But we weren't welcoming them, but at the same time, they were in our country and they were on our property, and gosh, we wrestle with that tension, don't we? And on the flip side, I think about the times and places I've been welcomed as a stranger. 3 years ago, my wife and I and family and others were in Mongolia. We were the strangers for sure. We were the strangers. We didn't speak the language, didn't read the language. We had people who provided the transportation and the translation. We had people who provided all our every needs, and we just walked around. But in one place, Sanshan, or something like that, Mongolia, out in the Gobi Desert, at a Baptist church in the Gobi Desert of Mongolia, they asked this Lutheran pastor to say a few words. John 3:16 came to mind. For God so loved the whole world, the Mongolians and the United States American, and all of us, saints and sinners. And there was a translator who translated something like that back to the Mongolians. We planted trees while we were there. We played with school children from preschool up to high school age. We saw a bit about their healthcare system, what that was like. We were there, but we were the strangers. And I think that was a benefit for us to remember what it's like to be a stranger somewhere, so that then, when given the opportunity, we can be a better host to others, to try to make sure that they're needs, their food, their protection, their translations, their transportation needs, whatever they might be, are met. Welcome the stranger. It's one of those hard things, and yet 1993, Alabama had a hit song, and that's why I'm holding this. Alabama, some of the lyrics from this song, kind of weird at first, I think. I was walking home from school on a cold winter day, took a shortcut through the woods, and I lost my way. It was getting late, and I was scared and alone, but then a kind old man took my hand and led me home. Mama couldn't see him. Oh, but he was standing there, and I knew in my heart he was the answer to my prayers. Oh, I believe there are angels among us, sent down to us from somewhere up above. They come to you and me in our darkest hours to show us how to live, to teach us how to give, to guide us with the light of love. A song from Alabama. If you ever go down to Myrtle Beach and see Alabama in concert, go ahead and request that song about the angels among us. It's based on Hebrews chapter 13, verse 2. And many years before that, a song by Roy Rogers and Dale Evans called Angel Unaware turned a lot of hearts towards Christ. Roy Rogers and Dale Evans said that they were new Christians. They hadn't been married but a couple of years, and they had kind of become Christians after getting married. And 2 years after being married, they had a baby girl born to them. They named her Robin. The doctors and medical staff looked at Robin and they said she has problems, what we call today Down syndrome, but it was pretty severe Down syndrome. Roy Rogers and Dale Evans said that the doctors and medical staff gave them two choices. You can either have her put to sleep humanely, which is kind of what we do to pets. It was an awful statement. Or you can have her institutionalized, but you will never be able to take her home and she will never grow up to be a human like you and I know. But Dale Evans and Roy Rogers said, we're taking her home and we're going to care for her. And then eventually they wrote a little book after she died 2 days before her 2-year-old birthday. They wrote a little book called Angel Unaware and a song. And it changed a lot of hearts. And the song goes like this. Be not forgetful to entertain a stranger, for thereby some have entertained an angel unaware. Don't see a difference, just warmly give your welcome. The hand you clasp may be the hand of an angel unaware. Though your heart may be breaking, it will pass in a little while. The stranger may be aching for the sunshine of your smile. And in your hereafter, you may rejoice at finding the stranger that you entertained was an angel unaware. You can Google the song, Dale Evans. It's about a 3-minute long song, very pretty. Angel unaware. That's what Hebrews starts off as, by the way. We're not going to cover all the rest of it, but there's about 7 or 8 different challenges from the letter writer of Hebrews at the end of the book who basically say, remember who Christ is. Remember his love. Remember his sacrifice. Remember how he welcomed you. And now do the same because you are Christ's community. Remember to love one another. Remember to love your neighbor as yourself. Remember to love God. Remember to love these individuals and these people. And don't get so caught up in the love of money, eventually Hebrews says. Don't get so caught up in the love of self or against the people who are in prison, or against the people who are the stranger, or against all these other people. Wrestle with what it means to love. Lead with love, because that's what Jesus' mission was, and that's what your mission is. That's kind of what the context of that Hebrews statement is. It's what the context of the Gospel of Luke, chapter 14 is. Lead with love. Remind yourself to be humble as you get welcomed to someone else's house for a feast. Thanks be to God that Jesus welcomes us to his banqueting table. Saints and sinners, lame and blind and free, and those who are rich and those who are poor, that Jesus welcomes us as his guest. And he is our host and the one who provides. He provides this meal. He is the host, as well as he is the food and drink that we participate in. Thanks be to God. Amen.
So the song